Dear Samsung, why do your phones go obsolete after 2 years? I own a Galaxy S10. I owned the Galaxy S10 before and it broke the screen. And it wasn't worth repairing the screen, therefore I just sold it and I got a new one. Then I got another one. It's this one. And it actually looks quite nice because I kept a case on it all the time and I used it for 1 year. And then, yeah, well, things happened and now it doesn't work as it should anymore. And now I'm recording on a Galaxy S10, that's basically the new one, but it looks like, obviously, the dude who used it before didn't have a case on it, therefore it's scratched all over the place. I mean, it's not that I mind, but let's try to get to the point. In the beginning, in 2019, in late 2019, so basically a few months after the Galaxy S10 came out, I bought it. And it was the best phone I ever had, because I only had like HTC Desire I from 2015, and also HTC One A9 from late 2017. And I kept these phones pretty much for 2 years. And after 2 years, they kind of, yeah, well, also went obsolete. If you buy a fridge, how long do you expect the fridge to last? 2 years? 3 years? 5 years? 10 years? Obviously, it's not only a problem that's only to Samsung. A huge problem is also that, obviously, Android makers have a lot less control over their devices because they're basically using a third-party software and then applying their own UI over Android. And a huge part, obviously, also is that all these apps you download onto the phone just take every single year a little bit more of space, of storage space. And therefore, if you just update your apps all the time, then after 1 or 2 or 3 years, all these updated apps are just bringing the device on its storage capabilities in terms of RAM and in terms of ROM. But now, when it comes to Samsung, I mean, there's just this problem. In the beginning, I just went shopping, clothes for example, and I just pulled out my phone and snapped like every outfit. That's something I do because I just then later can just go through my phone and I actually don't have to remember what this thing looked like because I just can compare the jacket I wore at Primark to the jacket I wore 2 hours later in H&M and realize that this is far too big, for example. Now, if I do the same thing, also in shops with the same lighting, and I just take snapshots, or also in the supermarket because you want to see what actually is in the food, then what happens is that every second picture is kind of completely blurred. Why? Because whenever I press the shutter button, it doesn't take a picture, but it takes a picture like 1.5 seconds after I actually press the shutter button on the phone. Or maybe it's half a second, or maybe it's 1 second. But the thing is that my habit of taking pictures on my Galaxy S10 is kind of just tapping, and then it took the picture, and now it just doesn't work anymore. Also, I had like heating issues that were insane. My phone actually, I drove a little bit of bike, like 3 hours of bike or 4 hours of bike, also using navigation. And the Galaxy S10 pretty much heated up to, I would say, 40 degrees Celsius, which is something, yeah, well, that's not really nice. Also, it just could explode, which is something that happened, and then you don't have a lag anymore because you had the phone in your pocket, but that's just another topic. But I mean, that's obviously something that's not recommended, but I recorded these videos on my phone exclusively, and I also have 2 phones now. I had like 1 phone before. I mean, for one, why not just put fast charging into phones? Obviously, then the battery lasts longer if you don't put it in, but that's just something that's very nice, and other phone makers do it also. And like 2 years ago, I just said I go full Samsung because Samsung at the time was the best phone maker. And I also invested into a Samsung watch. I also invested into a Galaxy Fit. I actually bought the 3rd Samsung watch today because the first one actually broke 2 years after, not really 2 years. I bought it refurbished and now it broke like 1 year after I bought it. I had a Galaxy Fit, which I didn't even use. I only used it for like 3 months and then I bought the Galaxy watch. And now I used the Galaxy Fit again because I didn't have a Galaxy Watch because the Galaxy Watch kind of broke. And now I also... The Galaxy Fit just broke. Just the armband just tore off the body. I got another Galaxy Watch which I lost or got stolen. I don't know exactly. And this is kind of turning into a very complainy video, which is something I don't usually do. But the thing is, I made the decision basically 2 years ago to go fully mobile, to kind of not buy a camera for a few months and just take the money and invest it into a better phone, which resulted in buying the Galaxy S10 for like $650 refurbished, a half year after it came out, half a year. And it worked. It kind of got me into making videos because it just is so much easier. And also, there were just so many nice things, like the fact that I can just tap on here and I can just adjust the blur in the background without you even noticing. I can also go a different kind of style. This is also completely live, which is something that's just so nice. I also can like smooth my face out in real time, and that's just something that has, I mean, I don't know if other phones also have it in that range, and that's really nice, but at the same time, there are all these lags everywhere. And whenever I go to the home screen, I just randomly wait. I have the Nova Launcher 7 on my phone, and whenever I go back to the home screen, I just wait for 5 or 10 seconds. It's not whenever, obviously. It's just a generalization I made that's not true. But there are cases when I return to the home screen and my phone is like 40 degrees and then it just doesn't work anymore. Which is kind of sad, because I like the phones. I thought about upgrading. I thought about the Galaxy S20. I thought about the Galaxy S21. But here's the problem. I got these phones with 512 gigabytes of storage. This basically means I can also add another 512 or 1 terabyte or 1.5 terabyte of storage later on and make this into a 2 terabyte device. Which is then exactly the thing I have on my notebook, which costs a little bit more, but obviously the idea was to have basically a notebook in my phone. And whenever I didn't have a notebook, to just use it. There was a time, like last year, when my new notebook just broke down and I actually had to send it into the repair for 4 weeks, because that's apparently what HP takes. I mean, it's not the first repair of HP notebooks. I actually had like 7 or 8 repairs and returns in the past, which is something else I'm kind of, well, that's another topic, I guess, but now it works. And obviously I don't talk about it because it just works, and therefore I don't notice because of the hedonistic treadmill. And it's the same with the Galaxy S10. I used it for years, and now I'm just at the point where it just doesn't work as well anymore. Obviously, there are also just things where I just use a Zoom H6, as you can see here, and that's just connected over USB-C, and this is just something I didn't even realize that it was possible before, and it's just possible with these devices. I cannot upgrade to the S20 because every now and then I use the headphone jack, and I don't want to miss the headphone jack, because whenever USB-C kind of doesn't work, then I just have to have a headphone jack where I can actually use an external mic to put in an external mic. Obviously there are also USB-C devices out there, but then you have the problem that you either need a hub to charge your phone at the same time as of connecting your microphone with USB-C to the phone. Therefore you have to have a hub, which also then has to work with the Galaxy S10 again, which is something that's not given, because there are a lot of different standards over USB-C, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And with my hub, for example, it didn't, and also these hubs kind of fail on a consistent basis, at least for me. So now, it's such a nice phone. I like how it looks, I like how small it is, even though it's kind of already too big for me, but going with the Galaxy S10 Lite just wasn't an option for me. So now, I could upgrade to the Galaxy S20, but then I would get rid of the headphone jack, and also I just didn't have an option for 512 gigabytes anymore. I could go with the Galaxy S10 Plus, but then these phones wouldn't fit in my pocket anymore. I mean, it's also already, I'm 182. This is kind of above average for men, I guess, and still I am kind of able, if you don't wear baggy pants, this is kind of already hard to fit in your pocket. And let's just say that Modern smartphones run out of battery basically all the time, especially if you record like 2 hours of video consistently every day. And then you put on something like a battery case, and then it actually has to fit in your pocket. And now imagine it's a Galaxy S10 Plus or a Galaxy S21 Plus. Then this becomes just it just becomes a brick. There were phones in the beginning of smartphones that were like this big and that actually fit into my pocket, like the Sony Ericssons or the HTC Desire X's. Now, the point I'm trying to make is this. I cannot upgrade because I cannot get rid of the storage. I have 250 gigabytes of apps on there. If I upgrade to a 250 gigabyte S21, then I cannot store anything on there, and I also cannot add an SD card on there, which is kind of sad because I basically cannot use the phone for the purpose I use these phones for, which is recording videos, also taking photos, and also basically using it instead of my normal camera, which I I bought eventually a camera again, and it was the Canon EOS M50, which was kind of a smaller package than the Canon EOS 70D I had before. And I like the new camera, but this camera here records better video, which is nice, because it's just my phone, and it records better video, and actually I don't have a camera with me right now, and I also don't have to have a camera with me right now, because the audio and the video, the zoom, and my Galaxy S10, I have the Galaxy S10 in my pocket all the time. I record all the podcasts on my Galaxy S10 now, using the external mic and screen recording the thing. I recorded all of the videos, I made music, and I just used all of it with the Galaxy S10. And now it just doesn't really work anymore. It's just a phone that's old. And it's like 2 years after the phone came out. And that's quite sad. I mean, it's much more 2.5 years, since it's already mid-2021 when recording this. I don't want to get a bigger phone. I could get the Ultra, but the Ultra is first of all $1,000. So this one, like the third one, was like 540 refurbished. The second one was like 550 or 600, and the second one, and the first one was like 650. I don't exactly know anymore, but I also don't want to invest like $1,000 into a phone. I mean, I would obviously, because that's the thing I use for basically everything. I use like 2 devices, which are these, also the mic, and my notebook, for almost everything I do. For studying, for recording these things, for writing, for blogging, for basically everything you do these days is either on your phone or on a notebook. You could read a book, like a hardcover book, but you also just could save the paper and actually make the world a better place by reading it on your phone. So now, as a final resolution, dear Samsung, why can you not manage to keep these devices running for like 3 years, for like 4 years? How about the promise to consumers that every Samsung phone runs for 5 years, and then, I don't know, Samsung buys it back, or I don't know. 5 years. Why can phones not just last for 5 years? I don't need 5G. Maybe in the future, but in Germany, till 5G is built out, it will probably take longer than Elon Mars to the Musk. That's the end of the video.